Welcome back to Troggy Trog's Let's Play Skyrim. This is going to be another mod talk, but unlike my previous mod talk, this one has nothing to do about mods, but it does have some technical discussions that I want to bring up with you guys to let you know what I've been dealing with recently as far as some problems recording my Let's Plays and making videos and editing videos and such. So basically, I'm going to give you an example right here of a white line artifact issue that I've been dealing with. So here you go. And so I took a screenshot to show you guys. That's just one of about 100 to 200 of those white line images that I could have shown you. There were a lot, yeah. And in 1 hour of footage, I saw, at least 100, probably 200. It got to the point where I just stopped counting. But the point is, this white line artifact problem is kind of a frame stuttering issue, I think, that's being caught by the video capture software with Fraps due to some kind of hardware issue on my video card. I think my video card is bad. Not completely bad. I mean, it still does a lot, but I've had some issues with it before, and I think this white line issue is a good indication of a problem with the video card, and that was something that was kind of confirmed to me by talking to a tech at EVGA, who is the manufacturer of this video card. It's a NVIDIA GTX 760. It's a EVGA brand one, but due to this problem, I'm going to have to send the video card back. So we're going to be in the process, by the time this is uploaded to YouTube, I'll probably already in the process of be sending that back and getting the new one. Once I get the new one, I will try out Fraps and see if I get this white line issue again. If that's the case, then we know it's something else. But most likely, especially after talking to the guys at EVGA, most likely it is the video card itself just being bad. Being a naughty video card. So get a new one and we'll go from there. Now, in the process of editing all these little white lines out in the side margin, my cutting and snipping little frames out, like one of the 30 frames per second, I cut out one frame, so it'd be like 29 frames for that second, and say 28 frames for another second. And then we'd have 30 frames and 30 frames for the next couple seconds, and you see another white line artifact, and you cut it out, and you have 29 frames in that 1 second of video. When you do that, it starts to create a corruption or a gradual desyncing in your audio and video. Now, I didn't know how to fix this. I tried all kinds of fixes that I read on like forums and Google sites, and I Google this and Google that and find all these different sites. Try to find a solution to this, basically. And what I ended up finding as a solution was something that I never read anywhere else. Basically, I decided, hey, what version of this editing software am I using? And I realized it was the version I had on my old computer, and that there were newer versions out there. So I looked at the change logs for those versions of upgraded softwares, like the 4.01 and the 4.02 version, right? And I looked at the change logs and I go, aha, they fixed the video and audio syncing issue in that version. Oh. So I uploaded those new versions of the newest version of that software, and now I don't have this problem. So I wanted to let you know what all that was and what was happening. Now, to give you a real quick idea of what I do when I make a video is I use a few, probably a handful of software when I make my video. I use Fraps to record with. I set it at 30 frames per second so that it can be ready to upload straight to YouTube after I edit it and convert it. Now you can change the frames per second with any file when you convert it, but it just saves me the process of having to try to run that at a higher frames per second and creating a big performance hit in my videos. Basically, if you set it at 60 frames per second and your video game actually dips down below that frame rate, you'll see that in the recorded images. But if you don't expect the video to ever dip down below 30 frames per second, then that's a good spot to like record at. So I record at basically 29.97. It's a setting that they have in Fraps. It works really well for me at that setting. Sure, it's not 60 frames per second, but again, when you upload to YouTube, they have a limiter on YouTube for 30 frames per second anyway, so it's not a big deal. Now, the file sizes for Fraps videos are huge. They're like 150 gigs basically for 1 hour, so that's a big deal. Now, when I edit the file, when I take the raw file, put it in my editing software, which is FreeMake, I can cut and splice all the little scenes I want out, like loading screens, and maybe I don't want to have the whole video. Maybe it's a 2-part episode and I want to cut it into 2 parts. So the first part might be reduced, down to 45 minutes just by cutting out the last 15 minutes. And then I save that other 15 minutes to add on to a different file later on. And in the process, I'll throw an intro video on that I make with Windows Movie Maker, and wham bam, got it all done. Time to convert it. We convert it to a small file size, like basically a compressed version of the original AVI, and then make sure it has the right codec, the H.264 codec, and all that. And then we upload it to YouTube, which takes about 3 to 5 hours, depending on how my ISP is working for that day. Okay, so that's how I use it with Fraps. Now, I'm using this video. This video I'm actually recording with a different software. It's a beta software from NVIDIA that's through the GeForce Experience, and it's called Shadowplay. And this one's giving me a little bit of pixelization issues and details, like fine details in the graphics. Nothing major, but it's just, it's okay. But it's not perfect. It's almost as good as Fraps as far as quality, but not quite there. I mean, I'm just talking about the quality of the image. Now, Fraps files are huge, they're bulky, they're cumbersome to deal with, they take up a lot of hard drive space. Shadowplay doesn't. And Shadowplay you can record at 60 frames per second, and you don't get a performance hit. I mean, I'm talking like 1 to 3 frames per second, maybe 5 frames tops, versus something like Fraps that dips you down like 15 frames per second sometimes in performance hits. So I'm really liking Shadowplay for that, for the frame rate size, the file size. The only thing I don't like about Shadowplay right now is that the quality isn't quite as good as screen capturing, video capturing as Fraps is, but it's almost there. It's good. It's probably about 3 to 5% less quality overall by the time you get it uploaded to YouTube in comparison to the quality you see from, say, Fraps. But I'm pretty happy with both software. I'm not sure which one I'll go with for the long term. The nice thing about Fraps is it keeps all your files in one, or all your video footage that you record in a session in one file. So if I record like a non-stop 1 hour session, it's all 1 hour in one file. Unless I break recording by hitting a button to stop recording to say answer the phone or something like that, it'll all be one file. Now, Shadowplay on Windows 7, there's an issue with it. Since it's in beta, hopefully they'll fix this issue. But Windows 7 has a muxer for MP4. When you use MP4 format, the muxer will limit the file size to 3.8 gigabytes. And that means that if you have 15 minutes of footage for a 3.8 gigabyte video, that you're going to probably need 4 of those videos to make your hour-long footage, all one piece. But the problem is it breaks it into 4 pieces. So you have 15 minutes, another 15 minutes, another 15 minutes, another 15 minutes. And then you have to reconnect all that in your editing software. It's not a big deal, but it does require you to join those files together. And that's where you can have some problems. Because there is some audio-video syncing issues that happen, the more files you start to add together. And unless you have some more detailed editing software that can kind of work that stuff out, it can be a problem for me, at least, when I use something like as simple as FreeMake. Now, FreeMake, supposedly, with this new version, I shouldn't have that issue, but I usually don't join more than 1 or 2 files together at a time to my existing file. So this will be interesting, because I'll probably be joining sometimes 5 or 6 or even 10 files together to make a 1-hour video. So we'll see if we have any audio-video syncing issues when I start to do that. But so far, so good with Shadowplay. Even with the 3.8 limit on the file sizes, I haven't seen any real big problems with connecting those files together. It just probably takes me an extra 5 minutes in the editing room to do that, basically. So we'll see how this works. And in the long term, if you guys like the quality of Shadowplay and it's not that big of a difference to the Fraps, then we'll probably stick with Shadowplay.